Keisha Morgan sat quietly in the passenger seat, her face turned toward the window as the car rolled past rows of white-fenced houses and tree-lined sidewalks. Her mom, a soft-spoken nurse with tired eyes and calloused hands, focused on the road ahead, her silence filling the car like static. This wasn't home. It was their third move in less than 2 years, and Keisha already knew how this story would play out. The small town nestled in North Carolina's countryside looked too quiet, too picture-perfect. Everything moved slower here. People with identical smiles, manicured lawns, and a gaze that lasted 1 second too long when you looked different. Keisha was 13, but her eyes held the weight of someone older, someone who had already learned that blending in was sometimes the only way to survive. Their new house was modest, a 2-story structure on a quiet street that smelled of damp grass and routine. Her mom had taken a job at the regional hospital, which came with long shifts and late nights. Her father? Well, that was the part she never talked about. Not because she didn't want to, but because she wasn't allowed. He was away, always on missions, always somewhere important. But he wasn't gone. Not really. Monday morning came too quickly. Keisha dressed slowly, smoothed her uniform, tied her hair with careful precision, and walked downstairs. Her mom handed her a mug of tea with a hopeful smile. "Just be yourself," she said. The school was just minutes away. It looked massive, sterile, and cold, not because of the temperature, but because of the way the hallway echoed with judgment. As she entered, flanked by the school's secretary, all eyes turned. Whispers floated through the air like dust. "This is Keisha Morgan, our new 8th grade student. Please make her feel welcome," the woman said before vanishing down the hallway, leaving Keisha standing alone. No one smiled. No one said hi. She scanned the room and found an empty desk. That first class passed in a blur of indifference. When she raised her hand to ask a question, the teacher didn't even look her way, just pointed to the board. During lunch, she sat alone in the farthest corner of the courtyard, picking at her sandwich. She didn't mind. She was used to being alone, used to being invisible. But here, invisibility didn't mean safety, it meant isolation. By the third day, someone had scrawled on her desk with permanent marker, "Go back to where you came from." She wiped it with her sleeve and sat down like nothing happened. When she asked for an eraser, the girl next to her pretended not to hear. In the cafeteria, 2 girls looked her over when she asked to sit with them. "Already taken," one said. The table was empty. She nodded and moved on. And so it continued. The kids in this town weren't just ignoring her, they were testing her. And behind the smirks and side glances was a group that stood out, the children of the town's elite. The ones whose families owned land, businesses, and influence. Their ringleader was Brandon Pierce, tall, blonde, son of the school principal, and smug in the way only someone untouchable could be. He'd been watching her from the first day, not curiously, but critically. His words were laced with sugar-coated venom. "Careful not to get lost, new girl. We don't keep outsiders for long." The laughter that followed wasn't loud, but it was sharp enough to cut. One afternoon, her notebook was knocked to the floor. She reached down, and the teacher didn't bat an eye, just said, "Get back to your seat." She came back to her locker to find it tampered with. Nothing stolen, just everything rearranged. Just enough to say, "We can do this. Anytime." In science class, Brandon leaned in and whispered, "You should be grateful. We could make this worse." That night, Keisha began recording voice memos. She didn't know why, only that she needed proof. Someone had to listen. Someday. The cafeteria incident came on a rainy Wednesday. She walked in to find her lunch tray missing. Brandon stood nearby, balancing it like a game, grinning. "Lose something, newbie?" he asked before letting it fall to the ground. Food splattered across the tile. Phones came out. No one helped. A teacher looked up and then went back to eating. Keisha inhaled slowly, then walked out. In the bathroom, she didn't cry. She just leaned against the cold wall and wondered why no one cared. Soon, even the teachers turned away. A message on the chalkboard read, "People like you don't belong here." The history teacher erased it and began class like nothing happened. She kept recording. Every whisper, every snicker, every cruel silence. One night, she wrote in her diary, "The most painful part isn't the words. It's the silence. The silence of people who see and choose not to act." Then came the janitor's closet. A Friday afternoon. She opened her locker, and someone shoved her hard into the storage room at the end of the hall. The door slammed. Locked. Pitch black, smelling of bleach and dust. She pounded the door, shouted, "Nothing." Minutes crawled by like hours. She sank to the floor, hugging her knees. Her heart thundered in her chest. It was a janitor who found her. Confused, she smiled weakly. "I tripped. No big deal." That night, she did something different. She made a call. The voice on the other end picked up after the first ring. "Dad, it happened again." A pause. Then, "Where are you now?" "In my room." "I'm okay. I'll handle it." 30 seconds. That's all it took. Hundreds of miles away, in a federal building without signage, a man stood. James Morgan, code name Agent 7. 20 years in the FBI. Tactical operations expert. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He typed a single message. School extraction. Asheville, North Carolina. Protocol 42. Immediate discretion. A call followed. "I need a helicopter." No markings. No questions. Understood. James swapped his suit for tactical civilian gear. Grabbed a folder thick with evidence. Audio, images, logs. All quietly compiled from the files his daughter had been sending for weeks. She had told him, "Let me try." He had honored that. Until now. Tuesday morning. The school resumed as usual, students in their groups, teachers sipping coffee. Keisha walked the hall, steady as ever. But inside, something had shifted. She wasn't waiting for justice. She knew it was coming. A sound began to build, distant, rhythmic. Helicopter blades slicing air. Windows trembled. Students ran to the windows. Is that a hospital chopper? What's going on? On the football field, the grass whipped in circles as a matte black helicopter touched down. No sirens. No fanfare. Just presence. Principal Richard Pierce stood from his desk. "Someone tell me what the hell is going on." The doors opened. James Morgan walked in. No FBI insignia. Just presence. Eyes forward, face unreadable. Keisha saw him from the hallway. Her breath hitched. Her father had come. He walked through the corridor as students fell silent. Teachers froze. The air shifted. He walked straight to his daughter, wrapped her in an embrace that said, "You're safe now." "I've got you." A secretary stammered. "Sir, the principal." He'd like to. "Can you identify yourself?" James held up his ID. Federal seal. No titles. Just James D. Morgan, Strategic Operations. In the principal's office, Pierce tried to maintain his authority. "If I'd known things were this serious." "You knew." James interrupted, voice calm but ironclad. "You chose to ignore it." He opened the folder. Photos, screenshots, audio clips, psychological reports. All undeniable. Pierce faltered. "This could have been handled quietly. Bringing a helicopter seems excessive." "No," James said, locking eyes. "What's excessive is letting a child be tormented while adults look away." He turned to Keisha. "Let's go." No press. No cameras. Just truth. The next day, the school was different. No announcements were made. But everything had changed. Brandon Pierce? Absent. Teachers? Suddenly attentive. Posters appeared overnight. Respect is non-negotiable. Silence is complicity. Keisha wasn't popular. She didn't want to be. But she was no longer invisible. A ninth grader asked to sit with her at lunch. A teacher praised her writing. Little things. Big changes. That night, she and her father sat on the porch. "Why didn't you go public?" she asked. "No media? No tweets." James sipped his coffee. "Because you didn't need attention. You needed someone to listen and act." She didn't say anything, but her smile said everything. That night, Keisha slept without fear. And on Monday morning, she walked to school with something new in her chest. Pride. Because sometimes, justice doesn't shout. It arrives quietly, dressed in resolve, with a heart full of love, and a father who never stopped listening.